everyone, Christine here. Welcome to edition number 2 of my vlog. I had a rough day today. Not for any reason, one or other reason, or many reasons. It was just woke up and it was a rough day. I think it's important to show that things are real, and today sucked. So I thought about some content I could share with you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about coping mechanisms, why they're important, and one in particular that helps me. I'm going to talk to you about things that are important to keep in mind when someone you are around or love is depressed. And then I'm going to share with you some tips that might help you better understand your loved one who's depressed. And then lastly, I'm going to share with you some experiences that I've had, that people have said things to me that they thought were helpful, but they really aren't. And then some better ways to say things that actually may help. So just getting into everything here. One of the coping mechanisms that I find effective for me is to surround myself with love. And that doesn't need to be anything gigantic. I don't need like a room full of roses and people feeding me chocolates or anything goofy like that. I just need to be around things that make me remember that I'm loved. So some of those things are things you probably can cope or understand, and that is, I'd mentioned we have 3 animals in the house, but 2 of them share a super special bond with me. So that's my golden retriever Owen and my cat Sweetums, and they are super perceptive when it comes to when I have a rough day, and they are glued to me. So I'm gonna swing the camera around here so I can show you the 2 of them, and I'm sorry you're gonna see that there's things out of order in my house, but whatever, that is what it is. So right over here next to me in his favorite spot is my golden Owen. Say hi, Owen. Say hi. Yeah, you're a good boy. Now he's gonna get up. And then just completing the circle, turning around this way. Oh, where is he? Is my kitty Sweetums. And then Owen has to have attention anytime anyone else is getting attention. So he's right here. So then, the other couple things that are super important to me and things that you may see as time goes by are things that I have here on my person. So here is one of them. It is my Harry Potter blanket. Super cool fabric. Stars on this side for the kind of, mystical theme there. And this blanket was made by my Aunt Dee, my Aunt Dolores. She made it for my Aunt Jerry, and it didn't look like this. It was bright and colorful, and honestly, probably a patchwork of different fabrics that she had that were remnants that she pulled together a blanket for her sister. And that blanket was fairly heavy, so the weight of the blanket actually helps my anxiety. And then, so it's special because it represents 2 of my aunts. And then the Harry Potter-ness of the blanket was put together by my sister Kelly. So the original blanket was starting to fray at some seams, so I asked my sister to fix it, and there wasn't enough play or in the fabric that she could fix it, so she needed to cover it. So we happened to find this fabric, literally kind of shoved in Joann Fabrics when I found it, and it happened to be 40% off, which was awesome. So then my sister recovered it for me, and I just love it. The one other super cool thing about this blanket is back last June, my husband took a picture of me sleeping with this blanket and actually put it on my Twitter, and I was liked by J.K. Rowling. So that, for a Harry Potter fan, is like the coolest thing ever. So that's special about this blanket. My shirt here says Ollie's Ride, and that actually is a shirt from last year's benefit ride that is named after my Uncle Ollie, that takes place up in northern Minnesota in a small town called Vergas. And the ride raises money for the hospice that cared for my uncle in the last few months of his life. And this year we're coming up on the 10th anniversary of Ollie's Ride, and I certainly hope we can get there. I had a special bond with my uncle, and this blanket just makes me feel warm. I don't know how else to say it when I wear it, so it's awesome to me. And then lastly is this hat that I have on. This Lynch Chevrolet up north where my dad used to live. It is my dad's, it is / was my dad's favorite hat. So I just put it on when I need to feel closer to him. And then you kind of see here I've got a couple pictures of my family around me. That's probably 5 or 6 years old. And then this one's a little more recent of my girls and their sisters from the older girl's father. So that was at a birthday party last year. So that's one thing that I do. It's kind of quirky, I don't know, but it might help somebody to spark a different way that they can potentially cope with having a rough day. So then I wanted to talk about some things that you need to keep in mind when you care about or love somebody who's depressed. And there are things that if you've not gone through depression, might look like they're the problem, but they're actually symptoms of depression. So you need to handle them differently. So one thing is that depressed people have trouble caring for their basic needs. So they're going to isolate themselves because on the inside, they feel alone, so they withdraw and they are alone. And that can be a slippery slope and a vicious circle. There is some merit to that, but it has an expiration date, for if you will. So it's not bad for you to be alone and cry things out or whatever, but when it becomes a long period of time, that's really when it gets concerning. But again, it's a symptom, not the problem. So keep that in mind. Second, depressed people often skip meals. And I'm not just talking they don't eat breakfast. I'm talking about not eating for days. So that's, again, a symptom of depression. They may not get out of bed. Might just call in sick for a day because they need a break. Or I had one time in my life where I didn't get out of bed, with the exception of using the bathroom, for 3 weeks. It's an ugly part. So that was both an isolation and a not getting out of bed or taking care of myself. They may not shower, because again, self-care is a difficult thing when you're depressed. And something important is that they don't always see a way out. So it's just an important perspective to understand that they don't see future. They're just dealing in the here and the now and worrying about the next step or the next breath, or just getting past this very second. So that's real important. So I've had a lot of people over the course of my life offer me what I'm going to call platitudes in response to my depression. And these platitudes, from the perspective of the person who's saying them, sound like they're helping, but they're not. And I don't know exactly how to explain that, but the best way I can think to explain it is when my kids were little, I used to tell them, you can tell me anything. We are super open in our family. You can tell me anything. Just be careful how you say it. And that's the same approach you should take with somebody who's depressed. So I'm going to give you some examples of things that people have actually said to me, and then an alternative empathetic response that would be much more palatable for the depressed person. So somebody said to me once, this actually was a boss, cut the crap and get your shit together. I don't know how in the world that's supposed to be helpful. It's the same thing as snap out of it or whatever. So a better way to say that is I see that you're struggling, and if what you're dealing with is their mood, you could say, I see that you're struggling, help me understand. And if it's a task that they're struggling with, you can say, I see that you're struggling, what can I do to help? So both of those ways are gentle ways of saying you need to move forward, but somebody who's depressed doesn't understand how to do that because they can't see the next step. So one thing that I also was told was stop feeling so sorry for yourself. Not helpful. So what you could say alternatively is, I am sorry you're hurting, I am here for you. So empathetic, you're sorry that they're hurting, and how can I help you is an a olive branch or a life preserver you're giving that person. You just need to's. So you just need to get out of bed, go on a vacation, volunteer. Actually, somebody said volunteer and help someone who actually has it rough. Really? And the list goes on and on. So these are things that are just no, nevers. Don't tell people that are depressed what they need to do. It doesn't help. So what you could say is, would you like to go for a walk with me? Or can I come over and watch a movie with you? Or can I bring you dinner tonight or tomorrow night? And even better than that, you can just be there. So just come over, and even if that person is sleeping on the couch and you're sitting on a recliner reading a book, you're still there with that person and for that person, and they'll feel that. So that's super important. You need to stop focusing on your problems so you can see how blessed you are. So when you're depressed, this would be like telling a horse to act like a cat. It's not in their power. So I just wanted to make that clear. This one I absolutely detest. And I have had somebody say this to me on more than one occasion, and that is, do you have PMS? Okay, just flat out, that word combination should be banned from vocabularies everywhere. You don't want to reduce somebody to their hormones ever. What you can do is ask if there is anything that you can do to make them more comfortable. It's not about their anatomy or hormones or biology or any of that. It's, what can I do to make you more comfortable? Much better way to say it. So this is another one I have had said and I hate. And that is, you just need to get off those pills. They're making it worse. And while some of the side effects are scary, and some of the side effects of medications can cause other problems, what people fail to realize is those medications are what's allowing that person to hang on by the thread that they're hanging on by. So don't break it. Don't encourage them to stop. That needs to be done under strict medical supervision, and it needs to be done in knowledge of their medical professionals. Never make that suggestion. Sometimes coming off of the medications abruptly can cause horrible consequences. So again, I hope you see the difference there in how not to say something and what a better way to say it is. And if you see that difference, then maybe you'll understand why your wording is so important. Lastly, what I want to say is, unfortunately, for those of us that struggle with mental illness, depression, anxiety, there is a general lack of empathy out there in the world. Mental illness has a very harsh stigma to it, and it really, really needs to be broken. So, what I'm asking you to do here for me today is to help be a beacon of hope for those people who are swimming in the vast and deep ocean that is depression, anxiety, or mental illness. So keep that in mind. Thanks much.